definitely affect your productivity. So that's why our theme today, empowering your workforce through financial wellness, a strategic HR advantage, is more than just a title. It's a call to action. Because supporting your employees' financial well-being isn't just the right thing to do, it's a smart business move. So we hope that this session will be about exploring practical, scalable ways to help build teams and ensure that they build lasting financial confidence. It's not about a one-size-fits-all strategy. It's about meeting your people where they are and giving them tools to move forward. Our hope is that you leave today with fresh new ideas, insights, and a renewed sense of what's possible when we put our people first, not just in words, but in action. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Fumi. Very enlightening. Typically, when we hear HR, we just think about recruitment, we think about sacking, we think about query. And I think the world has gone beyond this. It's just like Fumi said, it's the wellness, the mental capacity, and to think a lot of you are dealing with the Gen Zs in your space, you know. Maybe they are exhausted, like a colleague of mine says, you know. So typically we'll dissect this financial empowerment within the workforce and see how best we can take home some points and be better with our workforce and further empowerment. So without further delay, we would move into our presentations for the day, because we know you're all busy people and you need to get back to your daily routines as you've availed us this time. So I'll call to the stage Imaobong Asemah, Head HNI Management, Meristem Wealth Management, for our presentation. Ima.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for taking our time to join us today. Fumi has given a brief as to why we're here. We find in Meristem that it's very, very important to, in the course of our business, talk to HR practitioners about how to improve the financial awareness of their people. We realized that this topic was important after a survey we did to a lot of the companies that we had partnered with, companies that we had worked with, and what their pains were. And then we decided that this was a good opportunity to kind of give back and help with what the pain points of HR practitioners were as regards financial awareness. As a matter of fact, it was not top of mind for a lot of them until we brought it up. Like, I mean, this is something that could impact your workforce. So basically, Meristem Securities, just for participants who are joining online and who are here physically who may not have interacted with us in the past, Meristem Securities is a capital market group that provides financial services to a range of clients, including financial advisory, trusteeship, registrar services, and the likes. Over the years, over the past, over 21 years now, we've been innovating and growing and developing ourselves and the space and financial services space. There are about 7 companies in the group. We have Meristem Wealth Management, Meristem Stockbrokers Limited, Meristem Capital, Meristem Family Office, which is our newest baby, Meristem Trustees Limited, Meristem Wealth Management Limited, and Meristem Finance Limited, just to introduce you to who Meristem is. Now, moving into exactly why we're here. I had mentioned earlier that coming up with this topic or coming up with this session today was in response to a survey and research we had done with HR practitioners that we had been working with and companies, organizations we had worked with in the past. In then digging deep, we did some research and realized that there have actually been work done on this in terms of how financial wellness impacts staff, how financial wellness impacts employees, or financial stress, as it may be, impacts employees. A survey or a study showed that 57% of employees were stressed, and the cause of their stress was their finances, and it impacted their work. So in doing that, it then brings to the fore that, okay, if 57%, that's more than half of the workforce, are stressed, not because of the work stress, but because of their finances, then it means that it was something important that needed to be handled. And 74% of the entire workforce, and this is world data, it's not just in Nigeria, says that they need financial guidance. They don't get enough financial guidance, enough financial education, enough quality, not just financial education, but quality financial education, which shows us that financial stress extends beyond how much you have in your bank account. It extends beyond how much money you have. It impacts everything about you, your health, your well-being, how you interact, how you do your job, and things like that. So, I mean, it has a negative impact on everything. As little as how you sleep is impacted by financial wellness. As little as your self-esteem is impacted by financial wellness. So we realize that it's very important to talk about these things, in a structured framework, to talk about these things to HR practitioners who deal with individuals every day, because you spend most of your time at work. You spend more time at work than you spend at home. There's a lot of data, like I mentioned, that is governing financial wellness, financial stress, and the likes. PwC did a research in 2023 on financial wellness, and it says that 1 in 3 employees says that financial stress has negatively impacted their productivity. It means that when you see your colleague in the office and it looks like the person is working, half the time, if they are financially stressed, they are not actually doing any productive work. And so it's not just a financial wellness and good financial habits and a good financial culture doesn't just impact individuals. It's not something you just give benefits to the workforce. It's something that impacts the business as a whole. It's something that employers can no longer just give as a benefit. It's something that affects in their business at the core of it. So it's important that HR practitioners begin to look at it as, okay, this is not benefits and compensation. That's not what we are talking about here. We're talking about creating a culture of financial planning, a culture of good financial well-being, a culture of putting finances together, such that before the end of the month, your employees are not coming to you to say, oh, I need loan. And when we're talking about loan, we're not talking about loan for important assets. We're talking about loans for day-to-day activity and day-to-day living. And a lot of times people assume that, oh, it's the lower income earners that collect loans. I can tell you from our research that even people who are supposedly the top cadre also have those issues. And one of the things we found out, especially for really large organizations, is the fact that because a lot of financial services firms come to them to say, oh, come and give us your employees' account, it then becomes a point where HR kind of blocks financial organizations from interacting with their staff, because sometimes it becomes harassment. So then it limits the amount of education they can get in, it limits the amount of knowledge that can be passed on. Now, what we are saying here is there are structured ways of achieving that without necessarily pulling your employees or saying, oh, come and do business with Meristem. There are ways to provide that financial education that empowers your workforce, that creates a better wellness for them, that helps them to be able to make what we call sensible financial decisions. And in saying that, what then are the benefits to me, HR? So I'm sitting here in this room and I'm online and I'm wondering, what's my business with finance? I'm HR. Once I've done recruited, once I've done giving them benefits and compensation, once I've done learning and development, what's my business? If they don't have to save their money, that's their business. But what it does for you is create a culture that helps your people to do better. And it's not just while they're in the workforce, it's even after they leave the workforce. When they retire, how is their life like? Sometimes you see people from really top organizations that are retired with very good benefits, and you see them after 1 year, 2 years, and you're wondering, but this man collected really good gratuity. It's not because they are wasteful, it's just because there is no good financial knowledge there's no good financial know-how. And if they had been practicing it over their 30, 35 years of employment, it would have been easier to just transition into making good and sensible financial decisions. Because at that point, everybody is saying, they've paid this company gratuity, these people, they're about to retire, so and so stuff, and then people are coming to them from all ends. There's this investment that will work, come and do. And there's this, so it now creates a, what should I then do? And then that's how people fall into doing things that ordinarily they had no business doing and losing a lot of money. Sometimes it's even about, oh, I made sensible financial decisions, but I didn't start early enough. And because I didn't start early enough, in retirement, I cannot maintain the lifestyle I had been used to. That's also very, very key. So in empowering your workforce from the beginning is very, very important. When your workforce is financially empowered, has a good financial culture, irrespective of cadre, irrespective of how much they earn, part of what we've seen in research is reduced absenteeism and presenteeism is even worse because the person is not out of the office. He's right there sitting, seemingly doing his work, but not achieving anything all day. And you are wondering why things are not getting done. And I mean, if I'm looking for money or I'm seated in the office and my family is calling me, oh, I need this, I need that, the very likelihood that I'm concentrating on my job is very, very slim. Even if I try to do it, my mind is elsewhere and things like that. So it's very, very important that, yes, these issues will come up. It's not because you have done a good financial plan that you will not have financial needs. It just says that because of a good financial plan, you have the ability to decide what you're going to do with your money, how you're going to do it. You have the ability to say, you know what, this need has come up. I have something as simple as emergency fund. I have an investment that can cater to this need. So that's what a good financial culture in an organization does. Okay, so financial awareness. I have a very large staff strength. I have 300, 500 people. 300 of those people are top earners, middleman, level managers, and then I have factory workers, or I have lower end of the bracket, or it might not even in terms of earnings, it might be in terms of age. And you are asking yourself, how do I put if you put all those people in the same room and you're talking to them, of let's say you put people that are top. Ordinarily, retirement planning should start the day you resume work. Estate planning should be the day you start earning or have any assets. But there's no way you are going to convince a 25-year-old that it's important to them enough. So in practice, it doesn't work. So what is important is to be able to separate. As a matter of fact, people within the same demographics have varying needs. As we have different fingerprints, different facial structure, that's how our needs vary. So I may be 25 years old and someone else 25 years old. What is bothering both of us? It's definitely not the same thing. So it's important to be able to separate different categories of employees and provide to them what is important to each of them per time. And what helps with that is a structured financial wellness program. Employees between the range of 21 to 30, for example, let's say they're just starting their career and all that, and their analysts, their assistants, maybe your interns, your graduate interns, and the likes. What is important to them, or what they know most of the time, a large category of them is savings. They have limited, savings, I have money in my savings account. Or with the way things are now, everybody knows there are fintech apps that, I'm doing investment, but a lot of times, why they're doing the investments, what kind of investment is actually beneficial to them, that information is not known to them. So there's very limited financial literacy. And then they are very dependent on their monthly salary. As a matter of fact, they just started their lives. So what is important to them or what their income most times is their monthly salary. However, in this generation, it is true that a lot of the young ones have monthly salary and then they have side hustles. But because of how bad the economy is, someone said recently to me that even my side hustle now needs a side hustle. So there has to be, it's no longer, I'm working, I have a salary. There has to be ways of generating income without necessarily leaving your primary place of employment. Because now you find an employee at work and has an active business that needs their active presence. So they're at work, but they're not really doing your job. They are sorting out themselves because your salary their well-paid primary employment has now become the side hustle, and then the side hustle has become the mainstay. So what happens is if the employee can have enough financial literacy, enough financial knowledge to know that, okay, there's something called passive income. There are other ways I can make money without necessarily without necessarily being there physically. There are other things I can do. Even in this my business, what are the things I need to do to ensure I don't have to be physically present? So, so top concerns for them will be building emergency savings, will be managing their basic expenses and the likes. And then for middle level employees, you find that, okay, so I've now stabilized. I'm used to being in the workforce. What am I thinking about? I think I need to start thinking about buying a car, or I think I want to start buying some other assets, So at that point, 31 to 40 middle-level employees, they are getting into maybe mortgage, maybe car loans, things like that. So it's not just savings that's a top concern. Again, at that point, it's then building assets. At that point, is getting married, maybe having children, maybe buying their own home, maybe getting another degree or education. So concerns are different from the younger generation. So it's important that we must separate what is important to everyone per time and offer that financial help or financial support as a HR practitioner. And then we have senior level employee executive, and people just assume that because they are senior level employees, then suddenly they have financial knowledge and financial know-how. Oh, this person is older, he has been in the business for a long time. And as a matter of fact, even people who are in financial related firms, let's say banking, you will find that there is no enough, for some people, there's no enough financial knowledge, and that is where firms like Meristem come in, where it goes beyond having a bank account and doing fixed deposits or treasury bill investment. It goes into creating financial plans that suits you, creating financial plans that can outlive you, creating financial plans that can take care of the times when you can no longer actively work. So senior managers, we're talking functional heads and top people. And of course, because they have been in business, because they have been working for a long time, they have some sort of financial knowledge. Of course, they are better equipped than the younger ones. However, what you can do for people in that category to enhance that knowledge is to streamline that knowledge. And at that point in time, a lot of them have already gathered, at least to a large extent, their assets. So we are asking, okay, how do we manage this asset? What are you able to do? What risk can you take, and the likes? And then, of course, for older employees, C-suite employees, we are talking about, retirement is staring you in the face. What exactly are you doing? And we're talking about, do you have an estate plan in place? What do you want to do? How have you structured your assets so far, such that you can retire well, and such that you can retire in peace, such that you can maintain your lifestyle in retirement, and the like? So at that point, top concerns, succession planning, inheritance, especially for those who are business owners and the like, and even for those who are not business owners, you begin to talk about, how do I preserve my wealth beyond my own generation to the next generation and the like. So primary goals for that, for that category of employees will be things like trust, setting up trusts, setting up wills, talking to family offices, and things like that. So, I mean, at that level, their black tax has gone beyond, please send me money. It is now, they are taking care of, I like to say, whole villages, because people just assume that because they are at the top, they have a lot of money to give out. So you can, at that point, what is important, setting up their philanthropic activities, structuring it properly, so that someone is not coming every day to say, give me money for school fees, give me money for that, and they're just giving out money. There are more structured ways to give, and things like that. So things like that, you cannot be having that kind of conversation with a entry-level employee, which is the reason why I talked about structuring and separating the different financial wellness plans and different financial wellness or empowerment programs that HRs can do for their staff. Then moving quickly into, so I've been talking, and exactly, okay, so the question is then, what do I do? What do I do as a HR practitioner to help? I'm not a financial person. What do I do as a HR practitioner to help my employees? What do I do to ensure that I'm doing the right thing when it comes to employee support in financial awareness, when it comes to building a culture of financial planning, a culture of financial excellence among my staff? I want a workforce that is financially able, financially knowledgeable, financially capable. So what happens, what we would like to present to you is building a financial program for your employees, for your company. And it's not just, it's Financial Wellness Month or Financial Literacy Month. Let's do a program. Let's call the financial services firm to come and give a talk. Or at least it's on our policy that we should have 1 or 2 financial programs in a year. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about building a structured program throughout the year that creates a culture within your organization of financial planning, of financial wellness, of financial literacy. And we know that in building any culture within an organization, consistency is the key. You cannot do it this year and suddenly somebody remembers and say, it's true, we've not brought anybody to come and talk about finance, and then you just remember that, I have one friend that works in a financial service firm, let me ask her if somebody can. So that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about having a proper structured series, if proper structure, just the way you would do new employee orientation or new employee, or what do we call it, to ensure that, this is how we operate here. It should be financial awareness and financial literacy, and financial programs should be part of how this is done. And I just try to streamline little things that can be done in terms of that. And so there's the foundational budgeting education, which is very important for, let's say, your entry level and mid-level employees. The truth of the matter is, a lot of people just assume that, budgeting, everybody talks about budgeting, is a buzzword. Everybody knows what budgeting is, but there is how to budget. I mean, things like people are not aware that, you budget for even your cravings, such that people just assume, I budget for my rent, my school fees, my transportation, but budgeting goes beyond just the regular things. Budgeting goes as deep as, what exactly is the thing I waste money on? How do I budget for it such that I know that there's no point deceiving myself that I would not do this. But what money am I putting towards it such that I am still financially okay? So there are workshops that can come into your financial wellness program or your financial wellness calendar. And there are automated savings programs that you can create as a company or as an organization to say, as an organization, we want to ask staff to do automated savings. And it's not automated savings of them just doing it by themselves. It is the organization has created this platform, just the way organizations used to create cooperatives. But you say the organization has created this platform where we can do automated savings for you and achieve this. Now, you're not forcing that on your workforce, but you're giving them the opportunity to be able to take advantage of such a program. There are organizations, for example, that work with Meristem to say, we would take out this amount from our staff salaries, create a portfolio for them, and be able to say, after so and so time, this employee can take out this fund. So things like that are not just the traditional cooperatives, that are not just the traditional what you'd be used to doing. Then there are tiered financial literacy program, which goes back into what I was talking about when I was talking about having different demographics in your employment. You cannot just put people in a room, different categories of people in a room, and say the same thing to them. So you have to create tiered levels of segmented training programs for each level or each category of people, so that you're putting the same people of like minds, at least as much as possible, in the same room. You can create things like financial fair days, info days, where people are during their break time or whatever, have the opportunity to walk up to a financial services professional to say, these are my issues, what do I do? Things that they cannot even discuss with HR, because financial practitioners are doctors of a kind. So things you cannot say to other people, you should be able to say to to an expert. And then there are employee support schemes that can be created, which is where cooperatives emerged from. Now, if you are going to, after this all said and done, what are we advising, or what are we advocating for? What we are saying is create a financial and annual financial wellness plan for your, such that in January, February, March, there is something that triggers your people to think of their finances, to think of what they need to do. Maybe you can decide that, January is budgeting and goal-setting month or something, because, of course, January is a goal-setting month for everybody. And then create workshops and clinics that are just a 1-hour clinic or something. But basically, every month of the year should have something. And every month of the year should have something. So you create a program calendar so that you are not thinking of, what will we do now? It is something that's already set in stone. This is what we do. And over time, it then creates that culture of financial wellness, financial wellness for your people. So basically, all said and done, first thing you should do, or first thing we want you to take away from this session is create a financial wellness program and then implement that program. Because it's a nice thing to attend an event like this, to hear that, if you create a financial wellness program, is something you need to do. Maybe even do it and get an appraisal score that, I've done something innovative. However, what is more important is the implementation. And then if you do not create an implementation plan, okay, this is how we are going to go about it, this is what we are going to do, then it's just dead on arrival. So it's very, very important that you create that plan or calendar, and then you create an implementation plan, and then follow through on that implementation plan. And then, of course, speak with a financial expert, speak with Meristem, for example, to come up. Let's say you say, you know what, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to come up with that plan. I don't know what exactly to be doing. What should I put in month one? What should I put in month two? That's where a financial advisor comes in to say, okay, let's structure this plan together. And another fear is, so I will now bring Meristem as the only people that I'll be talking to my people. I cannot recommend, because it's something we hear a lot of HR people saying that I can't bring one firm. But what we advocate for at Meristem is financial literacy. So it's important that we can help you structure those events. We can help you put those plans in place as consultants. Doesn't necessarily mean that you put your stamp. Of course, we want the stamp if you give us any day, any time. But what we are saying is that create that culture and then work with a financial expert to help you create that culture such that your people are financially well and financially able. Thank you very much. We'll take questions during panel session, right?
Thank you so much, Ima. Quite educating. And I think some of the professionals on the table today, they know some of these things, but the in-depth at which you've dissected the topic gives better understanding. And I think for some of us here, we are still learning and we'll keep learning. So thank you so much. Typically, everybody wants more money, right? But then if I pay you 500,000 today and you do not manage it well, it's as good as zero. So I think that's what we're here to say. And to drive this further, we'll have a panel discussion where we're having seasoned professionals talk us through how we are able to walk through this journey Ima has presented and practical experiences behind it. So to invite my guest to the panel discussion, first on the list is Dr. Kolawole Ariyo, a seasoned medical doctor, educator, and finance professional with over 3 decades of multidisciplinary experiences. He earned his MBBS from the University of Ilorin and spent 25 years as staff physician at Chevron Nigeria Limited, where he developed a keen interest in links between employee well-being and financial health. In addition to his medical background, Dr. Ariyo trained and qualified as a chartered stockbroker and was recently awarded the title of Fellow Chartered Stockbroker. I thought I was going to get an applause for that, because seeing his transition as a physician into a finance expert is something that I need to know more about, you know. He also holds a postgraduate diploma in education and currently serves as the managing director of Telnet International School, Akure. Dr. Ariyo brings a unique perspective to today's conversation, drawing from his experience in medicine, financial markets, and education to highlight the importance of cultivating sound financial habits among employees as a foundation for long-term wellness and productivity. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Ariyo. Secondly on our list is Mr. Yemi Faseun. Mr. Yemi Faseun is a seasoned HR and transition expert with nearly 30 years of experience across consulting, banking, telecoms, FMCG, and investment sector. He has led major change initiatives in HR, organizational design, and M&A transformation. He began his career with a degree in English from Obafemi Awolowo University and he holds an MBA along with certifications from Cranfield University, Lagos Business School, and others. He has worked with top companies including Arthur Andersen, now KPMG, Standard Chartered, Stanbic IBTC, Etisalat, FBN Quest, Globalcom, and 7up as Chief Corporation Service Officer. Currently, he is the Chief Talent Officer at YF Talent Partners and serves on several advisory boards. Yemi is also a faculty member at Lagos and Rome Business School and author of 2 books. He is also known for his passion for HR strategy and his love for Mondays. I need to know more on that, though. Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for Yemi Faseun. Thank you for joining us. And thirdly on the list, we have our very own Imaobong Asemah, who is a wealth advisor with over 10 years of experience in investment management industry. She currently serves as the head high net worth individual HNI management at Meristem Wealth Management Limited, where she leads the delivery of investment management, relationship management, retirement planning, and advisory services to HNI, UHNI clients and their families. She holds a Bachelor's of Science degree in chemistry from Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, Nigeria. Ima is a certified customer service associate with the Service Quality Institute, United States of America, and an associate member of the Institute of Customer Service of Nigeria, AICSN. She also holds the Investment Foundation Program Certificate from CFA Institute, United States of America, and is an associate of Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers. Her professional interests span client engagement, financial planning, and service excellence with a focus on delivering long-term value to clients. Ladies and gentlemen, Imaobong Asemah. And last but not the least on the panel to drive the discussion, my humble self, Adedeji, Babatunde. Round of applause for me, please. Yeah. Good morning once again, everyone. It's a pleasure to have you on this discussion. Dr. Ariyo, I'm really interested in understanding your move and drive. I think it might be motivational to some of the persons we have in the room. We have HR professionals in this room, and thinking of a man like you that has moved from medicine to finance and currently driving a very beautiful business. Can you just give us a 1-minute opener on this discussion, sir?
Good morning. Like he said, my first degree was in medicine. Then I was working with Chevron. Then in 2003, I was buying some shares with one of the stockbroking firms in Victoria Island. And the stockbroker, I was called that the stockbroker was very ill with a severe headache. So he was brought to my office in Lekki Clinic. I was heading the Lekki Clinic of Chevron. And by the time I checked his blood pressure, it was 160 over, it was 240 over 160. So I told him, I said, Philip, you are a walking corpse. You could fall down any time and die. So Chevron is quite fair to people. So I opened a card for him as a visitor to Chevron compound. So we placed him on 4 drugs. He left my office with the lady that brought him at 9:30. And by 11 o'clock, then stock floor was 10:30 to 12:30. And by 11, he called me and said, I've gotten you BCC shares, 500,000. Then that was when people were looking for BCC. And by evening, I thanked him and I said, Philip, in order to be appreciated for what I did for you, and you got what you couldn't get for the past 2 weeks. He now said, yes, that's what they call cross deal. I said, oh, cross deal on the floor, then I must enter that floor. So I started asking, how do they go about it? He told me about CIS. I went to their office, found out, they say it's an exam. Of course, doctors don't mind exams. So I started the exam. But by the time we wrote the stage 1, I was almost getting discouraged. Because I had to go to UNILA to buy textbooks on accounting, economics, and all those. But good enough, I passed the 5 papers at once. So that encouraged some other friends. But level 2 was a different kettle of fish. I failed, the first time I wrote it, I passed 2, I failed FSA and this other one. Then I forgot about it that I've never failed in my life. Why should I rewrite an exam I failed? But so the next diet I didn't write. But the following year, I now felt winners don't quit, quitters don't win. Let me go back to this exam. So I wrote the level 2 again. So I now failed corporate finance, passed FSA and the other 2. So I now went back for the corporate finance and I passed. So I wrote level 2 3 times. But that had given me time to read. And Chevron posted me to a location where there wasn't much work. Yeah, that's what we call Agbami. In Agbami, you probably see 3-4 patients a day. So you have a lot of time. And I was doing 28. You go there for 28 days, you are off for 28 days. So I now wrote level 3 and I passed at once.
Thank you so much.
But don't mind me, I've never been to the floor again. I did my OLE in Meristem. So, but since I qualified, I don't think I've gone to the floor to do any trading.
Thank you so much for
But
sharing
when I
that
wanted to
experience.
start the school, in planning for my retirement, my plan was to go into school. Then I needed to have a degree in education so that when you correct a teacher, they won't say, what does he know about teaching? So I went to do the PGD, 2012 to 2014.
Wow. One key word I picked from him, Meristem, was with him all the way. Round of applause for Meristem, please. YF, our Oga, how are you, sir?
Doing well, thank you.
Good to have you on this stand. In your opinion, what are the most common trends on employees' financial stress and how it has affected performance or engagement metrics?
Well, I think there is no way, I'm not sure, it was you or the lady who gave the opening speech that mentioned the fact that we don't leave some part of ourselves at home and bring some part to the office. So if we're not financially well, and this is probably the time for me to say this, we focus a lot on mental health, emotional intelligence. We've scaled that to political intelligence now, but we really talk about financial intelligence. And sincerely, if you are in human resources and you have access to employee data, if you're in bank loans, people are highly leveraged. And once they are highly leveraged internally, the next option is to look for leverage where? Externally. And when those things now go south, HR will still get information about that. And then you start realizing, no wonder this guy has been either absent or present in the workplace over a period of time. And with that affect productivity, by all means, it will. Definitely. So I think financial intelligence is one area, I'll call it FQ, is one area that we've neglected. We've concentrated on IQ, technical competence, EQ, PQ, and all that, but that FQ thing, I think we've neglected it. And maybe it's the reason I need to be careful now, some organizations are picking up the gaps and helping us to do the things we're supposed to do as HR people and as an organization. So a major problem today is online betting because people are looking for opportunities to be financially intelligent in other ways that are less smart, if you know what I mean. So there is no way it won't come back to the organization from a productivity perspective if employees don't know ways to manage their finances.
Thank you very much. A controversial question now, as a reporter to one of the lines you said. Online betting. You would find a school of thought that would tell you, I'm using spare cash to do this. And based off Ima's presentation, where you have to sectionalize your spending. So maybe we put it as the craving fund. So I know what you're saying is it can actually clap back, maybe when the losses come and all of that, but I think some more education needs to be done by the professionals, because I think I've heard of a bank sacking one head developer because it got so bad he didn't have emails again. He started using his office email for his betting account. But then we'll move forward. Dr. Ariyo, sir, from your experience, how can financial stress affect general health of employees in an organization?
Yeah, from my experience in Chevron, it's quite common because we are in the clinic and we receive the employees. It's quite very high, particularly with the new employees. They are happy when they receive their letters of employment, bogus salary, and the next thing they go for immediately is brand new cars. I remember particularly in 2010, we just trained some people in Ogiri. There's this set of staff we call Ogiri group, and they were brought to Agbami then. And all of them, young boys, were going for Honda G, brand new cars, 10 million. But there were a case of 3 guys in Warri. He bought then it was about 8 million car. He was living in a 3-bedroom. The landlord was using B2. Immediately he bought that car, the landlord increased the rent. There was one that he didn't have enough money. He had to borrow 4 million to add to 6 million he had to buy a 10 million naira car. Because then it was so high that we had to give a health education in escravos. That this was because they were thinking very high. And a lot of times they will now run into problems. Then somebody is supposed to start life easily. They want to start at a very high level. And that is one area they get themselves into trouble. 2, you want to buy land, the companies, maybe the cooperative union says they are buying land in Aja or in Lekki, and you put your head. And they are removing so much from your salary every month. Then there's a credit union from the Association, and I take a lot of loans. So before you know it, what they are removing from their salary is so much. Then your younger friends, or your friends and your younger siblings, your families, they don't know that you are in Chevron. Then they start making their demands on you. So a lot of them actually come to the clinic to complain to us. I've seen 1 or 2 that will break down in tears. Of course, what I do is allow them to cry for 3-5 minutes, give them tissue paper, then before you start asking them what is the cause of the cry. So it's quite a major source of problem. But you notice that they are the ones that drive themselves into such because of bad planning.
So invariably, they use their hand to do themselves. Yeah. So also, how does this evolve across career stages? Because now you spoke deeply about the entry guys. And we have seen cases where a man who's doing so well has about 4 SUVs at the time he is in practice. He retires 2 years later. You hear him is selling his house in Lekki, moving to E4 in Ogun State. How does this kind of thing happen to people?
Yeah. Again, I'll speak from my experience in Chevron. There was a particular year we had a retirement, and by second day, all the retirees got a letter from Diamond Bank. And it became a topic at the management level. Who gave the lists of retirees? Over 60 people retired in one group at one time. And all of them got letter from Diamond Bank that they should come and invest with them. They will help them manage their money. And there were a lot of suspicions that somebody must be leaking the secret to the banks. So, like Ima said, these are people that are not financially educated. What I have found, which is even worse now that I'm back to Ondo State, Akure, is a lot of educated people are financial illiterates. And they think they only depend on their salary. They don't know how to handle the money. And when you don't know how to handle your money, others that understand will take it away from you. While I was in Akure, somebody was trying to market people to come and do shares. And it was telling that whatever they buy in shares, the transaction cost is 10%. I had to call the guy that what you are saying is not true. He was saying, it's true, it's true. And I showed the ID card that I'm a stockbroker. That there's no way you can do 10. So that's the way they cheat people that don't know. So in Chevron then, it's so common that when people retire and there are no plans, people will deceive them, they take their money. We've seen people that will say, oh, there's this vessel, come and buy, where you can be storing diesel, and they go into such and they are duped. So we've seen a lot of them, and in the clinic, in Chevron, we treat retirees. Once you're employed in Chevron, they treat you till death. So you now see, we've seen, sorry to mention, we've seen a manager of finance, 2 years after, my medical director told me, said, Dr. Ariyo, come and look at this. I don't want to mention the name, please. And I said, the card he brought to the clinic after 2 years was rickety. He now told me, he said, Dr. Ariyo, I'm afraid of retirement. I said, Dr. Piazzi, let's be prayerful. Because you see them after 2-3 years of retirement. These are big boys. But by the time they go, but when you now ask yourself, it's because they didn't manage their money well. And we see this also even among the businessmen in town. I did analysis for myself when I got to Akure. The big boys, the rich men in Akure we know in the 60s and 70s, most of them died poor. Their money did not transfer to the next generation. And I started asking myself, what went wrong? It's because they built their businesses around themselves alone. They didn't trust anybody. And once the business is built around you yourself, once you die, the business will follow. So those are the things I see that is causing financial problems.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ariyo. You've really hit it on the head. And for transitioning, Meristem covers you. For preservation, we cover you. So think of Meristem trustees, think of Meristem family office. That takes me forward to Ima. As a financial expert, how do you tailor financial wellness programs or advisory sessions for different income groups? So now think of you in a cluster where you have the entry-level staff members, you have the management. The language is different. And we have also found from the insights from YF and Dr. Ariyo that the gap is the financial knowledge. You as an expert, how do you help these people?
So during my presentation, I mentioned how you have different demographics, and which is what you just asked, basically. How do you talk to a group of people who think differently? Obviously, you cannot speak the same language. So it's very, very important that you separate these individuals into different clusters such that you are speaking the language each person understands. When Dr. Ariyo was talking about how the behavior of the entry level and then the behavior, in quotes, of the higher top executives. What you are going to be saying to a top executive is far different from what you are going to be saying to entry level. So there is no way you can give a blanket financial advice to, okay, you just go to an employee room and talk to everybody. Of course, there are general advice, financial advice you can provide, but if you are going to be actually creating value, if you are going to actually be meeting the need or the objectives of each category of people, then it means that you have to be speaking to the same set of people. And financial advisory is not a one-size-fits-all. We can both be top executives earning the exact same thing in the exact same organization, and financial advice being provided to each of these people will be completely different because their needs, their objectives, their lifestyle, what is important to them, even culture, makes it unique. So what I would say, if you're going to tell someone, he was talking about how you build your business around you. There are certain people that we cannot not build their business around them because culturally that's the way you operate. So you have to advise that person from a point of view of how he operates in his culture, and how you have to then tailor what is workable, what is possible, what is achievable, given his culture, given how he operates, given how he thinks, given his orientation. And so financial advisory is not something you can just sit in a room full of people and then provide a blanket solution. It has to be tailored per individual, per category of people. Yeah.
Right, thank you so much. YF, as an HR OG, do you think financial education should be part of the onboarding or professional development in a system, and why would you support or be against it?
I think the short answer is 4 yeses. Yes, 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 yes. And if I'm going to speak to my colleagues in the HR space, I think it's one area let me personalize it. I think it's one area I failed in my years in HR. We did not think about it, let's be honest with ourselves. We were basically focused on helping people to make money. That's by being technically sound. We're not teaching them how to make money or how to multiply money. I've got a witness in this room. A friend of mine who is an ex-banker left 40 million naira in a savings account in 2025. So when she told me, I'm like, I became a Mary STEM ambassador at that point. And I was like, I mean, that's an ex-banker, right? Not knowing the other options available to multiply money, right? So if there's anything missing in our curriculum as HR professionals, it is to teach our people how to keep money and then how to multiply money. So because I failed in my 805 journey, and now I have about 2 communities, within the younger community, and I see 1 or 2 people represented here already, in the last 1 month, we've been talking about financial intelligence, given my own exposure to some of the conversations we're having, and it will amaze you that very few people in a group of about 750 people knew about mutual funds. Babatunde, you remember in this room last year, when I came to take your managers about leadership, the first thing I said to you was that you were sitting on a gold mine and you guys didn't realize it. Who remembered? You remember? And that was because every time I spoke to people about mutual funds, everybody was asking me, what's that? You know what I mean? So, I mean, if you now speak to younger people, you realize that financial intelligence is 0, and people you will expect to have that level of financial intelligence within the workforce, they are blank. So I think HR people need to take on that responsibility because it comes back to bite the business. Productivity is low, engagement is low, and like I said, people are looking for other options, e.g. Bet Niger and Co, Bet King, OneXBet. I mean, we know them because we watch soccer after every interlude. All the adverts will be online betting. And guess what? People are taking advantage of those. And then the companies are taking advantage of our people. And when they run into financial stress, are we going to expect them to be very productive at work? It won't happen. So yes, you will include it in our onboarding program. Yes. But not just the onboarding program. Like she said, it should be a continuous program. Let's treat it as an integrated program throughout the entire year or throughout the entire employee life cycle from entry to exit.
Thank you very much, YF. For our audience online, your questions would be very important to us, so you can just drop them in the Q&A session so we can pick it up and then ask the panelists. Dr. Ariyo, sir, is there a correlation between employee financial well-being and business outcomes like retention, productivity, or innovation? And I'll drill further on this. I spoke to some people in your formal space, the oil and gas. I think it's the most steady industry. You would hear somebody in Shell, I've been there for 25 years. You hear somebody in Chevron, I've been there for 25 years, and so on. So it seems there's something happening in that space. Maybe in the banking sector, yeah, I was in GTBank for 2 years. I was in Stanbic for 6 months. And this is supposed to be the financial space. So what is that sector doing better, or any sector you can relate to apart from what I just cited?
Yeah, I think the oil and gas are more stable. For example, where I was before, they have what to call even before the PFA came, and in their own case, they made their own PFC because they have a large amount of funds, so they allow them to manage it themselves. So there's a PFC. And closed something. So what they did was, even before then, once you come in at the entry point, they will ask you, save 10% of your salary, and the company will add 10%. And they were doing that. And Chevron went further to say, if you want to use that fund in foreign currency, or you want to use to buy Chevron shares in America. So some opted to convert it to dollars and save it in America, or use it to buy Chevron shares, or leave your own in Naira. I remember by the time I became stockbroker, I had to do some arithmetic, and I converted somebody that we should leave our money in Naira. Because in Naira, your money will be having 12, 13, 15%. America is 1%. That this one will grow, no matter the exchange rate that is falling, that it will grow faster. So I remember some of my friends had to be asking me, should I leave mine in Naira? So that really helped people. Then there is cooperative, where people can take loans, which is well managed. Though the company is not, company overseas, but it's managed by the union. But it's proven that people can take as much as 10 million naira, which will be spread over your salary, and in 2-3 years, people pay off. Then the unions went into landing and properties and things like that. So life was much easier in the oil industry, though we still have exceptions. A friend of mine said too that one of the staff was so bad financially, he was mismanaging his money. It was one of those that they will know when finance group has taken the salary to the MD to sign. Then you, on the radio, you'll be hearing, has it gone to store warehouse? He said, yes, it has arrived the warehouse, which means the salary has arrived the Union Bank. The Union Bank was within the compound. So few people are still having financial challenges, but majority really, things were very stable to the point that once you enter, like by the time I moved from private hospitals after my NYC to Eco Hospital, from Eco Hospital I joined Chevron. I told myself, I said, yes, I'm in the green pasture and I don't need to start looking for a job again. So I didn't bother to write application after joining Chevron. So I think it's like that with a lot of those in the oil and gas, that the salary is good, the plannings are good, and you know that by the time you retire, you have a good pension. In the school now, they praise me in Akure that I don't delay salary. And I tell them that it is what I gained from Chevron. Then every term once we close a term, I give them profit sharing. It's something I enjoyed in Chevron, profit sharing. In February, profit sharing in Chevron could be as much as 1 month's salary. It could be 2 times your salary, but they must do it all over the world. It could be in dollars, which they will convert to your naira. So I think there's a lot of perks of office. In Chevron, it used to be 16.5 of your salary that you collect in 1 year, 16.5. And your pension, nobody delays it. If I will collect pension on the 14th, 15th, I collected this month on the 12th, on Monday. So even before the salaries are paid to workers. So I think those conditions make the employees in oil and gas to stay back. So that the only thing that takes them out is when they go on cross-posting, maybe about 10% of them will get a job over there and they don't come back. But majority still come back home. They will leave their wife and children abroad.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Ariyo. YF, can you share an example, practical one, of financial wellness initiative you maybe deployed or you were part of while in service or you're consulting for any other firm?
Well, remember that I said I failed in that area. So, so this is putting me on the spot. At best, my years at Etisala, we had a cooperative as well. And I must say that really helped. The cooperative really helped. It was one thing that we instituted that employees really benefited from a financial planning, financial wellness perspective. But beyond that, it was just the ad hoc wellness talk. Maybe at best we did finance for non-finance managers training. right? Which wasn't anything around financial intelligence. So I would say that generally we're not paying attention to that space. We're doing the cooperative, we're doing the employee assistance programs, we're doing the HMOs, and those are great initiatives. But managing the personal finance space is one area we haven't done too well. So from my experience, I think the one I could relate with quickly would be possibly the cooperative. And I remember that at Standard Chartered Bank, we also did a share safe scheme, which was not an initiative of HR, but an initiative of the organization. And it was quite good. Beyond the pension, beyond the gratuity at that time, it was something that was called the phantom shares of the bank that we were buying, but at the point of exit, you will collect something that you had saved over the year. And it helped. At the point where you're exiting, it helped, but we don't have such programs in a sustainable way in many organizations. And I think that is where we need to go back to the drawing board to see how we can have integrated programs, sustainable, that may become a retention tool, that employees will say, the reason I'm here is that the organization is in charge of or the organization cares for my intellectual intelligence, emotional intelligence, physical well-being, and then my financial well-being.
Correct. Thank you so much. Would there be any questions from the audience here? Okay. Do you want to read it? Or should I come with the mic? Someone has a question. Please bring it so I can read it. And yes, I'll get to him.
I was saying that for an investment scheme whereby once you are employed in your pay slip, you will see 10% goes to SIP. So what that means is that money, an investment account is automatically created for you as a staff. That money, you do not have access to it until you resign or you retire or you leave. So from your salary, say you earn 500,000, 10% of it goes to that account, and you can use it to trade shares or buy fixed deposit or mutual funds. So even if you don't have access to, maybe you don't, after all your expenses, you don't have disposable income at the end of the day, you know that even when you leave this organization, even if it's, as you get promoted, the money, the percentage increases, right? And then as that money is available for you anytime you leave. So I think that that type of, if a lot of institutions adopt that, it will automatically help people save, even if after, or, you know, like you said, different demographics. If I'm an entry-level staff and I have to, maybe I live in Alagbadu, for example, I have to collect a house somewhere close so that I can commute to work, I probably would not have a lot of money to save at the end of the day. At the end of the day, saving might not be the first thing or the last thing on my mind. So, but if there's an accommodation for that already as part of your employment package, you understand? So it's going to be easy for people to save. And at the end of the day, they know that, okay, even if I'm not able to even put money aside, or maybe I don't have enough to put aside, I know that the company has already made provisions for this. And that money is, they even encourage you, once the money is in the account 2 months and you don't utilize it, you get an email to say, oh, you have not used this money, you can top up your mutual fund, or these are stock recommendations. I mean, in my former employment, that is what they used to do. So I think it's something a lot of institutions need to adopt going forward as well.
Okay, thank you for your question, Boale. So I'll have YF and Ima respond to your question. YF from the HR angle, yeah, and Ima from the financial service angle. Thank you.
Okay, so HR practitioner in the room can bear me witness. I think there may be some sort of regulatory concern about that, because if it's outside of my gross income, the company can do anything like that. But if it is within my own gross pay, then you need my consent to be able to do anything with my money. So, I mean, I'd like to be sure where that is coming from. Is it additional to my 5 million naira gross pay, or is it coming from my 5 million? If it's coming from my 5 million, there may be some regulatory concern around that, because that means you are taking my money without my consent. But if it is outside of my gross pay, then it is absolutely a great initiative for the organization. That would be my comment on that.
Just to add, I mean, wife is completely correct. So you can't just take employees' money. And when I was making my presentation, I mentioned the fact that it has to be voluntary. And the only way it can be voluntary is if you have created a culture of good financial planning, a culture of investment, and you have educated your people enough such that they know what they are doing, what you are asking them to do, and they are not just feeling like, oh, HR wants to deduct from my money again. It has to be something voluntary. And like I said, it can only be voluntary if they're educated enough. Because if you don't understand something, I always say something, anything you don't understand, you don't put your money. It should be a rule. If you don't understand, just hold your money first until you understand if you have to do any form of investment. And it cuts across any form of investment. So it's great initiative. However, it has to be voluntary. And thinking about it, it'll probably be a financial services firm that will do that, because it was talking about putting your money in mutual funds. And it's possible the organization already had that in-house. So you are investing in your organization. However, for HR practitioners here who are not practitioners in financial services, what it can do or what can be replicated, because it's a great initiative, is creating a voluntary scheme where you can say, okay, and for an organization like Meristem to come in to say, you know what, we create this portfolio for your staff. We deduct, let's say the 10% you talked about, voluntary, and then we manage that portfolio for staff. So we buy different instruments, different assets, different financial investments into that portfolio, like a mutual fund, but for your staff, and then they get the returns over time. You can, depending on what policy the HR creates, it can be something where you can't take out the money like he talked about. It can be something where, you can periodically take out of the money or something like that. But something that, it will be fine-tuned as per organization. It's not something that you can just sit here and say, do this. But yes, it's a very, great initiative, but it has to be voluntary.
Thank you very much. Our online audience is really buzzing with questions. However, I'm going to take one I have here. It says, how do we balance financial wellness with cultural expectation? Examples: polygamous family, religious expectation, e.g. tithing, and societal demands or expectation. This is from Mr. Jeffrey Ikwinze. Ima, I think you'll be the best person to respond to this as a finance person.
Very, very valid. You see, black tax is not just a buzzword. It is our reality in Nigeria, in Africa. I don't think there's anybody in this room that doesn't have one person, at least today or in this week, that said, oh, please, can you send me, I need, or something. It's not even possible, except you don't exist. And it's not a bad thing, all true. We live as a community, and this is who we are. How we manage the tax is what is key. How we manage how we do our, let me call it charitable giving, is what is key. So, and then he talked about religious tithing. There's nothing wrong if you believe in tithing and that's your religion, by all means. However, like I was talking about in budgeting, you must be able to know that, let's assume I'm a Christian, so I'll use the tithe example, for example. If you give out the 10% tithe, mentally, you have to think that, let's assume I earn 500,000, automatically what you earn is 450K. And so when you are planning and making your budget or your investment plans, you don't plan with 500,000. You plan with 450,000 because you know that 50,000 doesn't belong to you. And so you make preparation and plan in line with that. Then in terms of culturally, let's say you take care of your parents, you take care of your siblings, your cousins, in fact, people that are not related to you, you have to budget for your giving. Say you are earning 500,000, you remove 50,000 for tithing, and you have 450 left, and you say, okay, my budget for charity this month is 50,000. Such that anytime anybody comes to you, if it falls within what you have drawn up as your policy for giving that month, you can give without thinking that this person has come again. And once your 50,000 naira cut-off threshold, it ends, you wait till the next month. It's simple. It helps you even mentally to know that, okay, I've not been the mean, wicked person that doesn't give people money, but I've just reached my capacity and I've reached my limits. You can even give the person a date. Say, come 2nd of June. You understand? So that is why I was talking about budgeting not being 20% for rent. It goes far, 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 far beyond that.
Thank you. Take home point, discipline, right? Questions online, how do we partner with Meristem? I'll have someone on the Q&A session drop details on how you can either download Meristem, Wealth Body by Meristem, or if you're interested in equities trading, Meritrade. All these platforms, you can interact with us, and we have professionals in the mailbox to respond to you. Question 2, how do I start up this program in an organization that has no structured salary, structure for employee wellness, and also did not support the introduction of corporate savings scheme for employees? YF.
I think the best option would be to not go through the organization, but to speak with individuals in the organization. So this is probably one area where Meristem is not speaking directly, maybe to HR for the organization, but to give them access to the employees. It will be personal decisions in such organization because nothing is structured, right? And it may not be encouraged. In fact, you'll be surprised. Some organizations will just kill it immediately because it's not of their interest. But there may be individuals that we can reach out to in such organizations, and that would be the best option from my perspective.
So Meristem evangelism team should take it over from here, right? A quick question for Ima. Elaborate a little more on what you mean by structured philanthropy with some practical demonstration. I think there's an Adeleke online.
So that's part of what I just explained with structuring your giving or structuring your charitable giving. When you put, so for the example I just gave, that would be for maybe entry-level employees, maybe let's just say for younger individuals. Now, if you're a top executive or a top earner or a business owner, it'll be different for you. You probably have bigger projects people are asking you for money for. So it means that you will still do the same thing in a form. So let's say what you are keeping aside in your own case would be 100 million naira or 50 million naira. However, you approach firms like Meristem trustees, for example, to say, you know what, I have philanthropic desires. I want to take care of my village, I want to be doing something for my community. I want to do something for my secondary school or something like that. And I don't want people to keep coming to me to ask for money because I don't know how to filter who is doing what, who is actually genuine. So Meristem trustees, you take over that, my philanthropic desire, and create a criteria that people have to scale through to be able to do that. So they create the criteria. So when someone comes to him or the executive to say, my child is in school, they say we should pay this. We say, oh, no problem, go to Meristem trustees. So that Meristem trustees looks to the criteria, okay, we cater to children in secondary school. This is, okay, can we have the school's invoice? So that you're not giving people money. They say their child wants to go to school, but there's no child in school and things like that. So that's what we call, that's a form of structured give. So that's an example. So at different levels, it looks different for different sets of people.
Correct. Questions?
But I have a follow-on question to that. Sorry, Babs.
Please.
So what happens then when you are labeled? Because what it seems to be, given the communal nature of our environment, is that, oh, that means you are saying no to us. Because the trustee handling that may not be linked to you from that perspective. So you are tagged somebody who doesn't give. How do we handle?
So I'll give you a good example. You are perfectly right. So there are people that, what you've just said, in their community, they're used to going to him to say, a client, they're used to going to him to say, oh, I want this money, I want that money. And then in this kind of situation, it can be linked to him. So people just get to know that, okay, when you need money from Mr. X, you go to here. So it's basically, there are people that say, oh, no, I don't want my name to be on it. But there are people that would say, for this kind of thing you talked about, let people know that I'm the one giving them. It's just that I can't handle it. So they will say, oh, he's a big man, he's a rich man. He does not look at all these small things again. He has given, so it takes care of that. It allows you to still have that connection, or people to still feel that connection while not separating yourself from it. But so you separated yourself from it, but you are still connected. They feel like you are still connected to it. But the rules are there, so they cannot go back and say, oh, they didn't give me money. Okay, did you fulfill the obligations and things like that? So, and then when they can see that, oh, people have actually gotten money when they went to the firm involved, then it's fine. Of course, there will still be friction. I mean, we're Africans, so yeah.
Thank you so much. Any questions from the audience here? For the online audience, all of your questions will be addressed by team members responding to all the questions. So any questions here before? Yes, please.
We have Japa culture, and I feel like if you give a lot of people opportunity to be able to maybe do that investment and they see like a certain amount, the next thing on their head is, oh, I'm leaving the country. Because when during the time of Chevron, Nigeria was better than it is now. And for younger people, once they see, oh, I've made maybe like 10, 20 million, next thing in their head is to leave the country. They don't mind leaving everything and going to start all over again abroad. So how do we help? How does this help employee retention?
Well, I mean, Japa is never going to stop. It's the train is on 4.0 right now. It's not going to stop. But again, because of Japa, you won't also stop the things that you need to do. There's an expression that I say a lot, which is because of accidents, we won't stop driving, right? So, I mean, you'll still do what you need to do. However, for structured initiatives, don't forget that it's not charity. There will be obligations to fulfill. There will be some measures of control. There will be risks to consider, and therefore ways to mitigate the risk. But, I mean, go ask any financial institution. They make losses, but it won't stop them from giving out loans. So because of the accidents around our programs, it shouldn't stop us from driving those initiatives.
Thank you very much. And that will be all for questions from the audience. And to sum it up, Dr. Ariyo and YF, what do you think is the future of financial well-being in the workplace?
Yeah. The first one is financial education. By the time people are employed, they should start planning for their financial comfort in retirement. And once people can take a decision that I want to retire comfortable, maybe employed at 25, you're going to work for 35 years, by the time you retire at 60, you want to be financially comfortable. Then this idea that my children will feed me, we should put it aside. You should plan that you should be financially comfortable, that even your children, when they come to you, you will still be assisting them, even in your old age. We need to have those goals. And once you are financially educated and you know what is financial comfort, then you'll be able to work towards it. Then planning and budgeting is very important. We should stop buying impulsively. We should stop following peer pressures. Oh, my friend goes to US or holiday every year, and you have to do it, even when I'm not comfortable. Or you have 3 kids, all of you and your wife must travel abroad every year. You can make it 2 yearly. So those are areas I believe the younger ones waste so much money. Then you have to buy the latest car. You must change your car every 4 years, even when the car has not done 100 kilometers. So those are areas that people should be individualistic in planning. They should have their own goals, and above all, they must be simple and be contented.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, sir. I think that the only thing I'd love to add is to say that we've come to a point in the evolution of the workplace that if we don't do it, other people will do it. And what they may be doing in terms of financial education may be injurious to the health of the workforce or the workplace. I gave examples earlier. And social media isn't helping. We're all under pressure, if you know what I mean. People tend to forget that everybody puts their best moments only on social media, right? So when we see those things and we get pressurized, like Doctor said, then we start looking for ways to make money to fulfill or to reduce the pressure on ourselves. So it's not just at the point of entry, onboarding, that we should have the financial education of financial intelligence programs, it should be something that should be sustained over the employee life cycle periodically from time to time. Otherwise, people will get the wrong information elsewhere and it may come back to be very injurious to the workforce. Thank you.
Thank you very much, YF. And finally, to Ima, there's a reason you have put together this strong professionals in a room. What's the strategic partnership with Meristem, and how do you intend structuring a wellness program that's going to be of benefits to these gentlemen and ladies that have made time to join us for this event?
Thank you, Babatunde. I'll just start from her, a little response to her question regarding the JACPA before I go on. So there's nothing, JACPA is like what I've said, JACPA it is what it is, it will happen. However, what we are trying to do in terms of retention, in terms of how this helps your retention is this. What you are doing is not just asking your staff to go and do investments. What you are doing is creating a culture of good financial well-being, creating a culture of financial wellness. Even if you JACPA, if you don't have a good financial culture, or be financially literate, it's of no use to you. You might as well be in Nigeria, you know. So it's not like you go abroad and you pick money on the streets. There's something you still have to do. And if you do not have the ability or the knowledge to do those things, you're probably just going to be working and just having the same cycle you had in Nigeria, you know. So creating that financial wellness program I talked about earlier is very, very important. As a HR practitioner, it means that you are creating additional benefits. So it's not just benefits in terms of compensation, in terms of health insurance. It's creating a culture where your people are confident in the financial knowledge they have, enough that nobody comes to bamboozle them and sway them into doing Ponzi schemes and the likes, because at the end of the day, it comes back to your employee well-being. And we know that employee well-being goes back to employee retention. It goes back to staff morale. It goes back to how your staff achieve their goals in terms of employer goals. So happy employee equals happy employer. That's the truth. If your staff are not financially able to take on whatever responsibilities they have, it then impacts how they do their job, and how they do their job impacts how you make your money as an organization. So at the end of the day, it comes back to the employer in terms of good productivity, and then for the employees, it might be something they consider, oh, because my employer, which is HR practitioners, as we usually see it, was able to help me do this, and that, I'm more bonded to them. It creates a sense of loyalty, a sense of family. Or no, HR people don't like the word family anymore. So it creates a sense of being bonded, yes, belonging, yes, belonging. So, I mean, you may not see the droves that automatically all your employees are retained. Of course, that's not going to happen. But you will not tell how far-reaching that plan you put in place, or that continuous plan. So you don't just do it one-off. One day you call them together. There are things you can organize throughout the year that are not even demanding and require a lot of work or a lot of setup, that you can do continuously throughout the year, that your employees get better and better. And in answering your question, Babatunde, regarding strategic partnership, I think that's part of one of the questions that someone asked online when he said, how do we partner with Meristem? So I mentioned earlier that as HR practitioner, it might be very daunting. It might be, I'm concerned with my employee well-being. What is my own with financial services? And that's where financial expertise or financial experts like Meristem come in, where they partner with you to say, okay, we'll work with you to draw up this wellness program, this wellness calendar. We don't necessarily have to implement it A to Z for you if you are concerned about being too Meristem facing, which we are very happy if you have no problem with being completely Meristem facing. But work with you to organize things like financial fairs, where you bring together different financial practitioners to teach your people about financial wellness. We work with you to create tailored financial plans for different categories of your employees and things like that. So there are signed up partnerships you can have with Meristem to say, okay, Meristem is my financial partner to set up this program for me, or set up an annual program for me, and the like. So, yeah.
Thank you so much. And I think, okay, you have a comment. I'll come to you.
Good morning, everybody. I think from my own observation and my working experience, Myself and my friend, we work together in the same company. And I can say that, the HR expert has rightly said, HR people are actually lacking with this financial planning, to be honest. I think what they major, with my experience, what majorly they concern is your welfare, promotion, training, and what have you. That aspect of financial planning is virtually left behind, which I think is one of the key things I can say I take home for this gathering. Then secondly, I take an exception to my friend comment. I believe when you are talking of financial planning, our financial planning, though I have a little experience and knowledge, I know that immediately I start working, I start planning for my financial planning and my retirement. But I think when we are talking of financial planning, it should be majorly planning for our working career, and at the same time, when we retire, we should be able to look after ourselves. I don't share his view that after my retirement, after I work for 25 years, labor day in and out, train my children, and you still believe I should be keeping money to look after them at my old age. I think financial planning should be for your own old age. You should look after yourself, not keeping money again for your children. What am I labor for? Will I train them till I die? I think I take exception. I will look after them, no problem. I won't be planning for at my old age to be planning for my children again. I think, thank you.
What I was actually saying was, we should plan to be very comfortable in retirement, that even the children will be coming to us. But by the time when I go to daddy will give me 1 million. They'll be coming to you. And their wives, like I was sharing with a friend, your son comes with his wife and children. You give your son 500,000. You give his wife 300,000. The wife will help the husband to spend his 500, but the husband cannot get kobo from that 300. Ladies, am I right? In the next holiday, Easter holiday, Christmas holiday, the wife will be the one that will say, we are going to daddy. So once you are really comfortable in retirement, the children will be coming home because they know by the time they are leaving your house, they will leave with money. Particularly when the wife knows when I'm going. You just tell the husband, the children are going to see grandpa.
Spending grandpas are long-living grandpas, have you? Thank you so much. So for our HR professionals in the house, I think the language, a great place to work, goes beyond appraisal. It goes beyond daily upkeep with your staff members. It's deeper into the financial planning. So we applaud you to explore collaborations with the Meristem team in making life better, helping you with your staff retention, and that way everyone is happy in the end. Thank you so much to my panelists. It's been a good conversation, and we do appreciate you for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, the panelists, thank you. And to draw curtains on our discussion this morning, we'll invite the Chief Investment Officer, Meristem Wealth Management Limited, Taiwo Yusuf, to give a closing remark on this discussions. Taiwo Yusuf, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here. Hello. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. We appreciate your presence. Those of you here physically and also those online, we appreciate you. Also to the panelists, quite thought-provoking. Okay. All right. Also to the panelists, quite thought-provoking examples and views. We appreciate you. And also while you are talking, even though I've been in this industry for several decades as well, there is a whole lot to learn. And as HR practitioners, I know there is a whole lot that we are taking back to our staffs. And one thing I must say about Meristem is that our why is to advance the financial well-being of our clients. And I know that for HR practitioners as well, your why is how you enhance your staff productivity. So we would like to work with you on how you'll be able to achieve that by allowing us to advance that financial well-being. Thank you very much once again for being here. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Taiwo. And to call the biggest masquerade in the room, the Group Managing Director of Meristem Securities Limited, Sulaiman Adedokun. Good morning.
Thank you very much. It's a very nice program, and again, it resonates with who we are in Meristem. Our why, our most transformative purpose as an organization is to advance the financial well-being of our clients. That's why we are in existence. That's why we come here every day, and that's why we live every day. And we believe to do that, we need partners. We need people that we can connect to. We need the HR practitioners who are the center of influence to drive this home. Financial well-being is very, very key. There's no doubt about that. And the reason, as has been said, is that without financial well-being, other well-beings, they are zero. They can't be in existence. It's when you have financial well-being that you can deal with the mental well-being, with the social well-being and psychological well-being. And I believe this is very important. As we are discussing, something came to my mind that I think for HR practitioners and for corporate organizations, salary can be, or all these packages can be like loan to staff because you are expecting something from them. But I think we should move higher to a level of investment. When it is investment to staff, you are expecting something from them. And when it is investment, you have interest. There's a difference between loan and investment. When it is loan, you are expecting interest interest income. But when it is investment, you are actually expecting to participate in the profit sharing. You want to be part of the process. So when it is investment, then you want to be part of whatever will bring about increase in productivity so that there will be higher return on investment. And I think this is very, very important. For me, HR practitioners, they are agents of change to transform the organization, to take it to the next level, the catalyst within a system. You want staff productivity. You want staff to adopt a culture that transforms themselves and the organization in a positive way. And the only way it can happen is when you put together a program like this to advance that cause. This small program, financial well-being, could be the keystone behavior, keystone program that will change the entire thing. Sometimes we put in programs, policies, processes to drive change in the system. But sometimes we just need some keystone one, critical few, that can make that transformative change in a particular system. So I believe this is just one of them, and we must try as much as possible to adopt it. When HR can be a block or a gateway to success, organizational success. When it represents a block, then you come around and you have a financial well-being program to put across, and they block it. No, it won't happen because of this or that. At the time I was the Minister of Defense, trying to do some retirement planning, and everything couldn't go as we planned. And I remember almost about 50 people that will be retiring that year. And they said they do no information, no knowledge about retirement planning. And my question is that what happened after they retire? And after a month, they retired. No planning, no program for them. And you can imagine the fate of those people. So it's become more painful when you see something like this that is happening. So these are our pain points. So it goes beyond what you can benefit as an organization from the organizations and the people that work around. It goes to how can we impact on their lives? How can we create value that people will benefit from? When you develop a group of people, a staff, through financial well-being, you develop the humanity. But when you destroy by not allowing them to know about the financial well-being, about the financial program, then what happened to the economy or to the organization and also to the economy? I believe we are all agents of change and we should make it happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sulaiman, for that. We draw the curtain on the event at this point. We thank you for joining us and your participation. There's a little lunch served on the side, so please make sure you pick one on your way out. And for our panelists and heads of business units, we invite you to the stage for the photo sessions and interactions. Kindly network with people as this will be helpful. Thank you.